Dr. Upasana, a lot of people are going through a lot of mental conditions, mental trauma, and don't understand what needs to be done. So what do you think, what is your one advice as to how do people start working on, identifying where the problem is?
So yeah, I think it's important. You had mentioned earlier about how do people even know that they need help, because a lot of times people go through issues, but either they don't know because there isn't enough awareness, or they themselves aren't aware of how they are feeling. So I think one thing that can really help everyone is writing down your feelings, writing down your thoughts, writing down how you are experiencing. Putting things on paper really has a really big impact on your brain, because in our brain there's lots of ideas and things can sometimes get lost, but when you put it down on paper you actually see the problem, and once you see the problem then you can come up with solutions. So it's not just so that you turn from ineffective fear to active problem solving. So I think putting your problems in writing is a big way to even know that you need help. And a lot of different things. So, a lot of times clients will come to me, they're like, I want to improve my focus. And I'm like, okay, tell me about your sleep. Are you sleeping well? And then they'll be like, oh no, I don't get good sleep. And then I'll be like, okay, tell me about your childhood. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, my parents got divorced when they were 10. So people feel like they've gotten over all of their past stuff. But if you're not sleeping well, if you are worrying, if you have sudden weight gain or sudden weight loss, or if you have a lot of anger issues, all of this could be coming from something that you have experienced that you have not addressed. So I think it's important to always pay attention to your feelings and having either a feelings journal or something where you can write down your thoughts and feelings.
Good idea. I think writing down works for a lot of people. So now that you say that we write it down and we identify okay, there is a problem. What are the next steps? If we identify there is a problem, what should we do?
So talking to people. The next step is talking to people, because if you're going through something, guaranteed there's other people going through it too. So talking to people helps, and it makes them feel less alone. If you are open about your problem, then they know that, oh, they're not alone either, and you know that you're not alone. So it opens up the conversation amongst everybody. People can learn from each other. So if someone has a way of dealing with their issue, they can tell you how they are dealing with it. And of course, if all of these self-help things are not enough, then you need to seek professional help, whether it's seeing a therapist or, the kind of brain training that I do at my center. A lot of the times in the past, people used to turn to medication as first line of, treatment. But now we know so much more. We don't really need to turn to medication unless you absolutely do need it. But, I'm sure Pierre and other people can attest to this, that meditation, yoga, exercise, brain training, all of these things are viable options to help you feel better.
Right. I can vouch for the systems that you use, because I've personally come for one of the introductory sessions for the brain training, and the results that were printed, it's a software. So when they printed the results, I was shocked. I was like 98 to 99%, accurate. So I know that this technology is being used by NASA, by the American Army, to treat soldiers who come back from war because they go through mental trauma and all that. And the technology is based on neurofeedback. So can you tell us something more about this neurofeedback? What is this?
So neurofeedback was actually invented by NASA. So they use it for their astronauts, for them to stay on track, because they can't afford to, lose focus or be affected by stress. And so their work gets affected. So they're the ones that invented it. But now people, the Department of Defense in the US uses it for their military, as you mentioned, for the soldiers that have gone to war, suffering from PTSD, but also for the soldiers to get better, to be better soldiers. In Europe, people use it, sports teams use it for their athletes. So the process is called neurofeedback therapy. Now, neurofeedback means feedback for the brain. So an analogy I often use is, imagine you're walking by a mirror and your hair is messed up. Now, when you look in the mirror, you get that information about your hair being messed up, so you fix it, right? So that is exactly what we do with your brain. We show the brain its own activity in real time. And when the brain sees what it's doing wrong, it can essentially self-correct and self-regulate. Because our brains and our bodies, we have a self-correcting mechanism, but only if they know what they're doing wrong. So that's where we come in. We basically hold a mirror up to your brain and be like, brain, look what you're doing. As soon as the brain sees that it's doing something off, then it can fix itself. And the way we show the brain what it's doing is using EEG sensors. So these are sensors that we attach to your scalp, and they listen and monitor your brain activity. And then this information about your brain activity is translated by my software onto a video output. So during a neurofeedback session, you'd be sitting in a chair, watching your favorite show on Netflix while the sensors are attached to you, and the screen will change in size and clarity, and the sound will change in volume in real time based on your own brain waves. So as your brain is doing different things, the screen and the sound will change. Now say you're somebody who is suffering from anxiety, so your brain is always overactive. Then every time your brain is calm and relaxed, the screen will be full screen, it will be clear, and the sound will be good. But anytime you get anxious or get negative thoughts, the screen will start becoming smaller, blurrier, and the sound gets more muffled. Now the big screen and the good sound, they are a positive reward for the brain. Brain likes it, so brain tries to do more and more of the activity that gives it that positive reward. So it tries to be more and more calm or more and more focused or whatever it is we're training your brain to do. And eventually when you do these kind of sessions many, many times, this new way of being more calm or being more focused becomes your brain's natural new habit. So even when you're not in my office doing this exercise, you're at home, at work, your brain remembers these tools and techniques. So it's basically just using your own brain's ability to self-regulate to help you improve in anxiety, depression, focus, whatever.
Good, good. Love how Netflix comes in everywhere. Like lately I've been hearing Netflix like everywhere. Okay. Do you have any live case studies or progress that you can discuss with us and throw some light as to how have you achieved progress with your patients or any specific
I actually have a money back guarantee. So if somebody comes to me and they don't see the change they want to see, I give them the money back. So far that hasn't happened. So, you know, the changes have been really, like someone will come to me, they had like really bad IBS and stomach issues, and they had shown all different doctors like gastroenterologists, neurologists, and nothing was helping them. And they came to me and I fixed the main issue, which was this person had a lot of anxiety. And I fixed the anxiety and their IBS went away. They physically felt better. They felt more, they told me this was not even their goal, but they felt more confident. They were able to speak up in meetings. They enjoyed spending time with their family home. So there's all these secondary benefits. But I'll tell you the best example of neurofeedback working is why I started this company, which is it worked on me. So I used to suffer from a lot of insomnia and anxiety. The insomnia was because of the anxiety. So I would just basically lay in bed trying to go to sleep and my brain would just not shut up. It's like somebody left a radio on in my brain and I didn't know where the off button was. And every little thing in my life, I would make such a big deal about it. I mean, thing would be small, but in my head, it's this giant, unavoidable thing. And there's no need for me to carry around all of that stuff. And I was always like this. So I assumed that this is the way everybody is. I just assumed that this was normal until somebody pointed me to neurofeedback therapy. And I'm telling you, it absolutely changed my life. Like my husband doesn't recognize me. My mom is like, oh my God, you're so calm, so relaxed. What happened to you? And I know I would have never been able to start this business if I was that person before. You know, I am more focused. I am more calm, able to deal with problems. Even my procrastination has improved. So just, it had the life-changing effect on me. And then I did it on my friends and family. Everybody had really good results. And that's when I started this company.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. I remember talking to you about neuroplasticity as well. Can you define now that we understand what neurofeedback is, what's neuroplasticity?
So neurofeedback is basically based on the principle of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of your brain to grow and learn and adapt to changes. So all of us, we have billions of neurons in our brain and they make trillions of connections with each other. So our brain is basically like a dynamic power grid with different pathways that light up every time you do something, think something, feel something. Now, anytime you practice a certain task repeatedly, this one pathway keeps getting stronger and stronger. Now, say one day you try a different task, then you start forming a new road, a new pathway between two new neurons. And then if you keep practicing this new task, this new pathway keeps getting stronger while the old one gets weaker. So anytime if you ever picked up a new habit or changed a bad habit or learned a new hobby, it's because of the process of neuroplasticity that allows you to form new connections in your brain and weaken old ones if you want to get rid of bad habits and create new connections if you want to start something new in your life. So all of that is based, and even the neurofeedback change that we see, or the people that get over their anxiety, people that get over their bad sleeping habits, people that get over ADHD issues, it's because of the neuroplasticity. So we change the wiring in their brain to help them be more productive or help them be calmer or happier.
Perfect. Next question is social media. We all spend a lot of time on social media. Like I have a reminder on my phone. So I try to limit myself on Instagram to like an hour per day. but I know a lot of people spend like 3 to 4 to 5 hours per day. What kind of an effect does, that have on the brain as per you?
Yeah, social media is the bane of our existence. So the main problem is the notifications. So every time you hear that ding of your Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever, there's a little dopamine release that happens in your brain. Now, dopamine is your reward molecule. So it's the molecule, it's a neurotransmitter in your brain that will seek and search for reward and then motivate you to go do the action that will give you that reward. So every time you hear that ding, your brain is motivating you to pick up your phone and check the message. So the best thing you can do is at least turn off your notifications and set aside, so instead of checking your phone every time you get a notification, set aside that you will check your phone on the hour. So you will check it every hour or check it every half an hour. Just give don't let the phone control you. You control when you want to look at the phone. And the dopamine problem is what causes addiction and screen addictions and all of these things. So it's hard for everybody. I know in today's day and age, we all need to be connected on social media, but the best thing you can do is at least set aside a certain time. And also what you can do is put all of your social media apps inside a folder. So rather than having them very accessible on your phone screen, on your homepage, put them inside a folder and then put it on like page 2 or page 3. So anytime you have a few minutes of free time, you're not just going to your phone. Let your brain experience some boredom. I know it sounds funny, but boredom is actually really important for our brain. It's when we are not constantly stimulating our brain with information, when we actually have the time to be bored, that's when our brain can wander and be creative and think of creative solutions for problems, or all of that. And we basically as a species have lost the ability to be bored. We cannot even stand in line without checking our phone or at the red light without checking our phone. So really, really have to relearn the habit of being bored, and you will see it improves your focus, improves your creativity, improves your memory.
Great. Cool. That's the first thing I'm going to do today is try to move my apps into a folder.
Yes, it's a small thing, but it makes a big difference.
Sure. No, I agree. Now, typically what used to happen in the past and until present is whenever we feel that, we need external help, we either go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And then now you're there with this neurofeedback. So how different is your treatment compared to going to a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
So psychologists, if it's talk therapy, it's great. My treatment works very well in complementation with talk therapy because talking about things really helps you identify things you didn't know. But the problem with medications is that it's basically like glasses. So if you are somebody who cannot read well, you put your glasses on, then you can read for as long as you have the glasses on. And as soon as you take the glasses off, you can't read again because the glasses are not fixing your eyesight. They're only making it easy for you to read something while you're wearing them. And it's the same case with medications. So yes, medications work as long as you're taking them. But as soon as you stop taking them, then your brain goes back to its original wiring and is unable to cope with anxiety or depression or whatever it is you were taking the medication for. On top of that, it has other side effects. So what I do is a completely non-invasive method. There is no medication. There's nothing going inside your brain. The only thing we are doing is reading your brain activity. So we're not putting anything in. We only listen to your brain. And the results are really long lasting because we're actually making changes in your own brain's wiring. So your brain your new brain after you finish the program is a brain that is better able to handle stress, better able to handle anxiety, better able to focus. And then this is your new brain for the rest of your life. So if you do enough number of sessions, your brain has become rewired. And now this is your new brain that is able to handle this, all whatever comes at you for the remaining of your life. So that's the difference. It is long lasting and it is non-invasive and it is using your own brain's ability. We are not doing anything, like we're not giving you anything new. We are just allowing your brain to see what is doing wrong so your brain can self-correct.
Right. Now, a practical problem with a lot of events professionals that's happening nowadays is a lot of people have lost their jobs. For the freelancers, there's no business in the market because there are no events. We all know that. When is it coming back? No idea, big question mark, but we're all being positive. Plus the social distancing. So it's like one hit after the other. So now a lot of people do not have a job, sitting at home all alone, and they get into this dark place and, either anxiety, depression, suicidal ideas, things like these climb up. What's your advice to people like these?
So, first of all, everyone needs to know this, that they're not alone. If you're feeling this, other people are feeling this too. So please find the people that care about you and talk to them. I know it's hard to talk to people, but you have to develop this habit. But more than the people that are going through this, because they are already doing their best. I think it's our responsibility, the people that are the loved ones or friends of the people that are going through depression, to be educated on the topic, see how you can help and be there for those people. Don't just tell them you'll be there for them. Ask them, how can I help? Is there anything I can do for you? And a lot of the times we don't know how to talk to people that are going through depression. You will be like, oh, but you have such a nice life, you're rich, why are you depressed? That is only going to make them more depressed, because then they feel they don't even have the right to feel sad because they have all of these benefits. So instead of telling them why they shouldn't be depressed because all these great things are going on in their life, just tell them that you are there for them and how can you help them, feel better. Because I think that it's easy to say that, oh, depressed people should work harder. Yes, they should exercise. Yes, they should. But one of the things of depression is you lack the motivation to do anything. So it's very difficult for them to make changes in their life when there is such little motivation. So you, as somebody who loves someone who has depression or is in the life of somebody who has depression, I think it's your duty as much as theirs to help them come out of this and do whatever you can and be educated on the topic so you can be the right person for them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Upasana, for sharing your insights.